In today's world of content, AI, and everything that's going on, I think that more and more the idea of actually seeing behind the scenes and how your craft is created, almost as a proof text to prove that you're the one going out and making the things, is going to be more and more important as we go. And so for years, I've been trying to find different ways to film myself behind the scenes. First was for tutorial things, and then YouTube, and now frankly, social media. So over the past few years, I've tried almost every different tool to kind of record some behind the scenes content. And while this isn't going to be a fully exhaustive list of every single possible solution, it's going to be all the ones that I found useful and the different ways that I've used them. So hopefully this can be a way that you can find what's going to be best for your use case. Now, right off the bat, Meta has been getting a lot of flack lately for their just everything they do, frankly, and the irony that I'm probably going to be posting this on a Meta platform as well at some point. But I do use these Meta Ray-Ban glasses quite a bit. I personally have turned off all of the voice recognition stuff. I've turned off all of the AI stuff. Lots of issues with these, but I do find them to be at 100% peak convenience. So there are obviously two, well, maybe three. So the ethical reasons, obviously, first of all, just being tied to an AI company and all that kind of stuff. The second being that they are just legitimately too convenient. There's been tons of times where I've been wearing these at a wedding or something, and I've just forgot to actually use them and turn them on, because you do have to come up and click this button. It does go for 3 minutes, so it's a decent amount of time to just click and let it run. The other issue with that being record times, but also battery life isn't going to be full, so I do have 2 sets of these that I bring to weddings, so I kind of just swap them out midday and can kind of, take them on and off and charge one set as I'm using the other one. So again, they are the most convenient, but the issue being that the battery is going to die and you only get 3 minutes and, all the other things that go on with this. Now, this is the Osmo Pocket 3, and it is a really great vlogging camera and stuff. The only real use case I have for it is to set it up on a really small little tripod, and then it can track you. That's kind of a cool thing. It can track you or a subject, but unless you have someone running with this, it's not going to be super great for a lot of things, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for just an inactive BTS use case. If you want to be an active participant and use it for that, then it's great. Or if you have someone else actively using it, but for a kind of passive thing, set it and forget it, I don't really recommend it. Now, this video is also not sponsored by Insta360, although I do have a lot of their products here. This video does have a sponsor, and it's Ugreen, and we'll talk about that and backing up all your stuff in a bit. Now, for the best image quality overall on this entire table, that is the Insta360 Ace Pro 2. It can shoot up to 8K, which is nice because then you can kind of punch in and out for social content. It also will allow you to record in 4:3, which is again really, really nice because it allows me, as someone that does content on both short form platforms and long form platforms, to be able to get both things at once. And I've done a few different mounting options, but the kind of best way to do this is to just add a really, really small kind of hot shoe or cold shoe plate here, toss it on the bottom. And then this is a good set it and forget it. This thing can record for a long, long time. The nice part about this is that it just kind of looks like another flash unit or something like that. You can also kind of augment and move it up and down. It's just kind of your typical action camera top mounted thing here. And it's going to be something that more people are going to know that you're using it for video content, but I don't think that it's going to be something that people are going to really have an issue with, especially at for me, a wedding. It's going to be something that people are going to expect you to be having zero issues, no kind of hiding that it's here or anything like that. The only issue is that for me, I often am using multiple cameras. So the only way that this works really well is if it is one of my active cameras, but it's a camera that I have kind of around my neck or something. And then the problem with that is I will often toss it on a Leica or a smaller camera, and then the weight distribution can kind of mess it up at times. So if it's up against my chest like this, it's not a big deal. It kind of stays there and whatnot. But if I lean forward, I lean down, and the strap kind of comes away from my body, there have been times where it's kind of flopped down like this and I haven't been able to get things. So if you're trying to record like a whole huge thing, it's not as reliable if you are someone that is doing, multiple different cameras. But if you are a single camera shooter, like if you're using like the 28-70 or something like that, really, really useful. And it's the best image quality you're gonna get. It's the largest sensor, all that kind of stuff. So with all this talk about photos, I want to thank today's sponsor, Ugreen, for supporting the channel. You ever worry about losing your own photos, running out of storage, or just trusting your data to the cloud? This is the Ugreen NAS DXP 4800 Pro. It works like your own private cloud, but everything stays stored locally on your own hard drives. This means more storage, better privacy, and lower long-term costs. And inside, it's seriously powerful. You get an Intel Core i3 1315U processor, 8 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM, which are expandable up to 96 gigabytes, and you get dual 10 gigabit and 2.5 gigabit networking, so transfer speeds can reach up to 1.5 gigabytes per second. With 4 bays, this setup can support up to 136 terabytes of storage, and that's obviously enough for millions of photos, thousands of movies, and basically your entire digital life in one place. Setting up is really beginner friendly. The drives install with tool-free slide-out trays. You literally just pull them out like a drawer, and the system walks you through a step-by-step setup guide when you first power it on. Uploading large files is also way faster than typical cloud storage since everything runs on your local network and you aren't reliant on your own internet speed. One feature that I really like is the AI Smart Album Assistant. It can automatically recognize and sort photos by people, pets, places, or objects, and the AI runs locally on the NAS. Listen, it's locally on the NAS, so your personal photos never get uploaded to outside servers. It also supports Docker and virtual machines, so you can run things like personal websites, smart home hubs, or dev environments. And if you still use other cloud services, you can sync files directly with Google Drive for backups or data migration. Plus, with multiple RAID options and user permissions up to 2,048 accounts, your data stays protected. So if you want your own private storage solution, check the link in the description to grab the Ugreen NAS with the World Backup discount, which is 20% off. Now, by far the most versatile camera in all of this stuff is going to be the Insta360 GO Ultra. So you can use it in a traditional configuration like this. I could mount it on the top of a camera exactly how I did the Insta360 Ace Pro 2. But the kind of party trick of this thing is that it comes out of this and it's in a much, much smaller form factor, which is a lot more minimal. So it magnets to this little mount, and then I can put this on the top of my camera. And then this, it's still like, it looks like a action camera, but it is so much smaller. It looks more like a transmitter or something than like a big flash unit. And in general, I find that this is a lot less intrusive. It's less likely also to be top heavy. And so kind of my issue with another camera flopping around on here is going to be a little bit less likely. It's just way easier. The image quality is good, but it's not as good as the Ace Pro 2. But when you're doing behind the scenes content, I don't think that people are necessarily as interested in how good the image quality needs to be. It just needs to be at a level that people can see kind of what's going on. So this is the first use case of a few that this is going to be good for. And then the second and most unique thing that this can do is attach to this little lanyard here. So it just pops onto there, and you could wear this like on the outside of your shirt and you would look a little bit ridiculous. But the really cool thing is I can shove this around my neck. And then this shirt is definitely a lot thicker than a shirt I would normally wear to like a wedding or something like that. Then I have this thing that actually angles down a little bit to compensate for the fact that my chest is moving up in kind of a slight direction. It is really, really minimal as far as like the look goes. So obviously I'm normally wearing like a black shirt in general, but I also usually wear a black shirt to weddings. I can also move it up a little bit more, so I could stick it in that kind of gap up there if I want to. And this is probably actually the best placement for it. I've done a few different things at times where I used to use a full GoPro and I used this mount, which was kind of ridiculous to have another, like an actual GoPro in this same spot. It's not perfect and people are gonna, see that you're wearing something, but it's pretty minimal. It's pretty hands-off. And the really nice thing about this is that it can record for a long time. The issue I had with the Go 3S is that I've used this at a wedding ceremony. I turned it on at the beginning and it recorded for like 20 some minutes, and then it died because the battery on this is a lot smaller. This does the same concept in a lot smaller form factor. And unfortunately, I have the white version, which, you know, is going to be white and then black. So even if you're wearing a white shirt, it's going to show up. But it's really, really similar in terms of this whole thing. But this obviously like looks like I'm wearing something. But they do make a black version that you can put on here. The image quality on this is nearly as good as this. And the difference in size overall, I don't think is enough to, I don't know, make it so I need to have the smaller one. I will say this is also super useful, and there's mounts that you could also put it on top of a camera. You can put it on the bill of your hat, lots of different things like that. But I do think that this is a really nice way to get this out of the way and be using it. Also, if you're someone like me that is using multiple cameras, this allows you to just have that out of the way. You're not worried about it. You're not really worried about any issues when you're going back and forth. And the only big issue that I found with having something that's kind of chest mounted like this is that if you're someone like me that often uses a camera up to your face, sometimes you can get your arms to be in the way. And also if you're shooting side by side, you know, you can kind of move back and forth. I found that shooting a camera out in front kind of helps you to straighten things out a bit more than if you have a camera up to your face, and it helps the behind the scenes content a little bit, unfortunately. So if you're going to be doing stuff more for content, having your camera out front is going to be a little bit more engaging. But overall, this has been my favorite little way to be really unobtrusive, be able to record for a long time, and be able to work within my workflow of doing something like this. So if there's probably one camera that I would recommend more than others, it would be this one for its just sheer convenience factor and the idea that if you want to just only do vertical content, rock and roll vertical content. If you want to do horizontal content, and then if you want to do all of the above, you can shoot in 4x3 and crop in. Now, I talked about the Go 3S, and there are cool things about it. It's pretty minimal. I've used it for different things, and it does a lot of the things that the Go Ultra does, but I do think that, like, I don't know, it just, the only reason I would buy this, to be honest, over the Go Ultra is if I was going to save money. I don't think that the size or anything like that is worth using this over the Go Ultra. You can get this, and it's fine. Image quality isn't as good. Battery life isn't as good, all those things. So I do think that the Go Ultra is kind of the one that I would go for in this category. Now, the last one on this side is a little more chaotic, but on the footage side, it's going to be the most versatile in terms of the fact that it's a 360 camera. It has a lens on the front, a lens on the back, and so you can record what's going on in front of you. You can record what's going on behind you. You can reframe. You can do a ton of stuff. So mounting options for this are pretty similar. I've seen lots of different ways that people have set this up. It has a little 1/4-20 mount on the bottom, just like some of the other ones, or at least the other ones have adapters for that. It's not going to be super minimal as far as having this out here. The least minimal way, but the way to get kind of the best footage overall is legitimately still to do this. So it is bigger. This is the, let's see what model this is. This is the Insta360 X4 Air. I specifically remember having them sent me this one because it's just a little bit smaller than like the X5 and the X4 and stuff. But if you're someone that's using a single camera and you want to be able to kind of reframe and do some work in post, this is going to be your best bet. But you can also kind of do 2 frames at once as well. So you could put, you know, like the bottom half is a video of you kind of working, and then the top half is something of your clients. There's just a ton of reframing options here. But again, this is going to be something that is more for like a single camera user. So I see a lot of people setting this up like this. So you can kind of film even up to your face like this, and it can work. You can do it on the other side either way, as long as you can kind of get your hand in there. Obviously, it's another one of those like, hey, I'm filming something, but it's one of the ways that you can kind of make this a little bit more minimal. Again, this is for more of like a single camera operator. It works really good for video. And the nice thing is if you are using a camera like this, it like does not matter what direction it is. So you could definitely put this on a strap or something like that and not have any issues because it's a 360 camera, so there is not like a native way to see things. And it's really easy to kind of like horizon lock and reframe and stuff like that with something like this. If you want to work with something in post and have the most flexibility and just have lots and lots of options, these are really great. And I do recommend the X4 Air just because it's a little bit smaller and I'm trying to be as minimal as possible. So these are the ones I've personally used. Let me know what you think about these in the comments down below, especially if you have better options or different options, or you do something a different way. Please subscribe if you have not already, and then check out one of these videos that YouTube thinks you'd like up there, and I'll see you in one of those.